All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're talking about a name you know, I know, literally everyone on the planet knows, Cristiano Ronaldo. For 2 decades, he's just dominated top-flight football. But here's the thing, the secret to that crazy longevity, it isn't just raw, God-given talent. It's his ruthless, calculated adaptation. Today, we're unpacking exactly how he continually rewrote his own operating system, kind of like a software update, to survive and thrive across different eras of the beautiful game.
So I want to start with a mind-bending stat. Just think about the number 0. As of right now, 0 players in the entire history of football have officially hit the 1,000 goal mark. None. But Cristiano Ronaldo, approaching 40 years old, he's actively on track to do exactly that. It's like he's entirely timeless.
And what's really fascinating about his timeline is how it completely shatters what we expect from athletes. You know, for almost every footballer in history, your peak comes in your mid-20s, right? But Ronaldo actually scored more goals after his 30th birthday than he did before it. I mean, that is absolutely bonkers. It just goes to show that his later years were defined by this incredible, almost robotic efficiency.
To make sense of this, we're mapping out the 6 distinct versions of CR7. We've got the timeless goal machine, the raw entertainer, the inverted winger, the ultimate box poacher, the old guard, and finally, a legacy of adaptation.
Kicking things off with part 1, the timeless goal machine. Before all the goals, the glory, and the crazy tactical shifts, let's look at the foundational hardware of this machine. Like, where did this insane drive come from? The source material shows his start was just incredibly tough. He was the 4th kid in a deeply impoverished family and ended up dropping out of school by the 6th standard to focus entirely on football. But get this. The most staggering detail is that at 15, he was diagnosed with a racing heart condition. That could have literally ended his career before it even started. If not for a successful laser heart surgery, his mother actually notes he might have been a bricklayer instead of a footballer. That early do-or-die survival instinct really set the stage for everything that followed.
Moving on to part 2, the raw entertainer. So let's see how this drive built version 1 of his career. This is the era that started at Sporting CP and defined his early days at Manchester United. Now, we actually need to bust a massive myth right here. You've probably heard the famous story. In a 2003 friendly, an 18-year-old Ronaldo played so outrageously well, leaving John O'Shea completely dizzy, that Sir Alex Ferguson just bought him on the spot. Well, while he was definitely electric in that game, historical reports show United was already in deep talks to sign him and loan him back out. That match just accelerated his immediate jump to the Premier League.
Once he arrived at United, he effectively replaced David Beckham. But man, he was a completely different player. Early Ronaldo frustrated his teammates immensely. He was this tall, skinny showpiece, totally obsessed with excessive dribbling and step-overs. Our sources highlight this hilarious quote from Gary Neville back then, "Why don't he just boot it?" He had pretty low attacking output, which was a huge contrast to the clinical crossing United was used to. He was basically a raw piece of clay that still needed a lot of molding.
And just to bust another tactical myth from the data, he was never really a midfielder. In United's classic 4-4-2 setup, his name on the team sheet might have looked like a wide midfielder, but in reality, he was a traditional winger. His core job was pretty straightforward. Stay out wide, stretch the pitch with his pace and unpredictability, and try to feed strikers like Ruud van Nistelrooy.
But eventually, the entertainer had to grow up, and the ultimate catalyst for that, the 2006 World Cup. After that highly controversial incident involving his United teammate Wayne Rooney, the infamous wink to the bench, Ronaldo returned to England as public enemy number 1. But that immense pressure and all that hatred, it actually forced a massive maturation. He stopped the pointless showboating, significantly bulked up his physique, and Sir Alex Ferguson boldly made him the absolute focal point of Manchester United's attack.
Which brings us to part 3, the inverted winger.
This is where we see a monumental upgrade, right after his record-breaking transfer to Real Madrid in 2009. The numbers from this era are just staggering. Playing as an inverted winger on the left side, he could effortlessly cut inside onto his dominant right foot and just unleash absolute chaos. This positional freedom led to a mind-blowing 6 consecutive seasons of 50-plus goals. To put that into perspective, hardly anyone in the history of the sport hits 50 goals in a single season even once. He did it 6 times, in a row.
Under managers like Jose Mourinho, Ronaldo's game shifted. It became way less about holding onto the ball and all about directness, deadly transition play, and just extreme shot volume. We're talking a massive 6.9 shots per 90 minutes. And to actually sustain that output, he completely transformed his body. He worked closely with fitness coaches to build this swimmer's physique, highly muscular, incredibly explosive, and purpose-built for maximum longevity and power.
Now for part 4, the ultimate box poacher.
But here's the reality. Explosive wing play simply can't last forever. The crucial pivot point in his career happened right around the 2014 World Cup. He suffered a severe knee injury that legitimately threatened his career. But instead of fading away, what did he do? He intentionally shed significant muscle mass and weight to protect his joints from the heavy load of constantly sprinting down the wing. He also drastically reduced his off-the-ball defensive work. He basically completely reinvented his play style just to survive.
And the data perfectly captures this shift. You can see how his dribbles per 90 minutes plummeted to career lows. He just wasn't the guy taking on 3 defenders on the flank anymore. Instead, his shots from inside the 6-yard box skyrocketed. He started operating much deeper in the penalty area, relying on his unbelievable anticipation and elite movement to just get on the end of crosses.
Honestly, this next stat blows my mind. Back in his 2007-2008 peak at United, 60% of his shots were taken from outside the 21-yard box. Fast forward to the 2014-2015 season at Madrid under Ancelotti and later Zidane, and he had completely flipped his shot map. Now, 60% of his shots were inside the 21-yard box. Instead of declining with age and injury, he adapted into an absolute clinical monster.
Let's look at part 5 now, the old guard. Moving into his late career transition, this covers his time after leaving Madrid at age 33. We're talking his spell at Juventus and that highly dramatic return to Manchester United. At Juventus, sure, he still scored an incredible amount of goals. He even became the fastest player to hit 50 Serie A goals. But tactically, friction started to build. Manager Mauricio Sarri famously said Ronaldo didn't need to worry as the rest of the team would work for him. That publicly highlighted a growing issue. Building a cohesive modern pressing team around an aging, stationary poacher was becoming really, really difficult for managers.
And this friction absolutely peaked during his return to Manchester United under Erik ten Hag. You see, modern football practically demands high pressing from the front, but the data showed Ronaldo ranking dead last among Premier League forwards for forward pressing. Ten Hag desperately needed a striker to trigger the press, and Ronaldo was now a pure box player who expected the team to supply him. That tactical mismatch, it eventually led to his departure.
Finally, part 6, a legacy of adaptation. Look, despite those late career clashes and the structural challenges he posed to modern pressing systems, his overall journey remains an absolute masterclass in survival through reinvention. I mean, think about it. He went from a skinny, showboating winger at Sporting and early United to a ruthless centerpiece, to a transition-destroying inverted winger at Madrid, into a highly efficient box poacher, and now a veteran leader in Saudi Arabia. He continually rewrote his own playbook to conquer different leagues, different managers, and multiple decades.
As he chases that unprecedented 1,000-goal milestone with Al Nassr and the Portuguese national team, it leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought. We so often praise players for their natural flair or physical gifts, but looking at everything we've covered in this explainer today, you kind of have to wonder, is Cristiano Ronaldo's relentless, unyielding ability to adapt to his own body and the tactical evolution of the sport the true secret to his immortal legacy? And maybe more importantly, how can we apply that same ruthless reinvention to our own lives and careers? Think about it. Keep learning, and I'll see you on the next explainer.